What's up, y'all? I'm watching my video because I muted myself. There's me. Here's me covering me. This is my video, my last video. I realized I muted myself around here. Range, presumably. Mute. Until for about another 13 minutes later. Okay. So I thought I would just go ahead and see if I could recap what I was saying and then just continue forward. Okay. So looks like I was just generally talking. I didn't even bother to maybe I should listen to right beforehand and catch up. This one was a little well, essentially I think my conclusion was this is a little early. Relatively speaking, it points to that there are things going on building up to when the explosion happens, which is around 100 million, especially crescendoing at 65 million. So that's pretty much, I think, all I really had to say about that one. I'm not sure exactly what I was doing looking out here after that. Generally at that region, whatever. Let's move on. And then I looked at this paper. Maybe I'll just start from here. Was it this tab? Okay. Here. Okay, so I was only on this one when I realized, I think. Let's see. Yeah. So this one. Late Jurassic intro. Okay, that was this one. Oh, okay. There, that was the one I was just looking at. Okay. Then we move to. Is it this one? Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. So this, as well as this next one, even. Or, yeah, this one. Maybe more. This one, another gold. So I found several gold, copper. This one, gold, silver. I didn't even notice, but so I've just been recently looking at the gold copper deposits in the region of where the supernova occurred. Basically, that's my interpretation, is not supernova per se, but the equivalent of this system that maybe was essentially this core that came out of here, like a quasar that was Hawaii, that then was in the open region, not within the belly of this boundary where it was contained, but then it was out in the currents where it's and so it radioactively decayed rapidly in where it then literally supernovaed in its own scale of things, which then shoved things away from it intensely and effectively, maybe even was just occurring across time in a way that created this angel field here with a trident above it of its decay process, just shoving bits and pieces of it away that then were accumulated maybe when it came out. Maybe it came out and ran into a bunch of chunks of loosened continental crust that accreted to it like a disc, and it moved in a fluid galactic way of the lava that had a spiral, maybe even, I don't know, and it sent off parts along a whichever chunks got in the current out of it to then be deposited up here. At least in part. I don't know, just some thoughts. I don't want to like say things that I don't feel too strongly about, which I don't feel that strongly about, so it's a little like, but just more generally, this ammonite thing has like massive quantities of radioactive decay type of equivalent, because that's what it essentially is representing, is a nucleus decaying to a new nucleus through a like sequence of like an ammonite shape that really is a decay sequence occurring within like a fractal system of an atom. And so it emits these fractal systems of the atom, as well as appears to, just because I started looking, are there parallels between the islands in the Southeast Asia and the Cordillera region of Northwest North America? And I kept running into this type of just mention in things when I was looking into the Philippines and islands in that region. I was like, found that a little odd, and I keep it running into it. Like, I didn't search for gold copper deposits. That wasn't my search. It's just in the search that frequently came up. So it's something that is more present in this region, to a point where like they're just searching for other terms, and some aspect it ties it to copper gold deposits frequently enough where it comes up in the search results. Okay. So Macedonia, this one I thought was of interest because it listed these places. Am I muted? uh, I can find. I don't know where the bar. There we go. Oh, I need to like do that. Okay, here we go. So Spain, so Macedonia, which is east of Spain a bit. Colorado by Greece. Colorado, Peru, or Philippines, Nevada, Peru. So Colorado, Nevada, pretty much a similar region. Nevada again. Philippines, Peru, Dominican Republic, Chile, and Japan. So most of these are generally surrounding. So here's Peru, here's Chile, here's Japan, here's Philippines. So they're all in the Pacific Ring, pretty much. Most of them. So that's most of them. So we got things that are not in there. Dominican Republic, but like I've been talking about recently, or coming across people talking about, maybe is a better way of putting it, is that the Caribbean is tied to this process of the Galapagos hotspot, and Baja, British Columbia, which is all tied to this. So that it's also there is of no surprise, I would say. It's probably also down here, even, I would say. Wouldn't be surprised. Okay. What else do we got? But then we got anomalously. So Colorado, let's go to Colorado and Nevada, which those can be explained just by basically because before the Earth expanded, this boundary here was actually extending significant, basically to the Laurentian boundary. So Laurentia was bounded by this along its side, which then went up along a boundary in a similar way over here. Not Hawaii, but the currents here, I believe. Where actually that's right. This goes like this. So the down, up. Here's the this dragon. I know it may people will find it ridiculous, but up down with two like major offshoots. So that is like the hinge. Up with the offshoots, down 1 and 2, basically. So up, down, up, and then we start to run into this region that's got a lot of like a lot of nuance to it. So maybe that relates to this region, and with the nose generally reaching down to maybe around here. I measured this. It actually is generally the right distance. This region, I'm kind of cheating, if anything. Like of all of it, like this region fits pretty well. But then here, I just kind of said, well, like I guess maybe like this. I guess down to here works. Down. It doesn't. I don't believe it quite fits the shape of this. Like it's very long, elongated. Where this one's more like up, down, elongated and narrow. So I was thinking maybe it's more like here to like across like this boundary. And up to here, more like that. And this is something else that like was added on in the process, so it looks a little odd, almost like as it separated. If it was there. But so I think it was there, essentially, that the current was flowing here, and then that was then right here initially, and then it moved off, and then new layers took the place of it, which then were overlaid with essentially newer crust or newer things that then at some point began to like really accrete. The continental crust, as this began to separate. Initially, as it was bounded, it wasn't accreting onto Laurentia. The segment of continental crust of the total crust was broken into continental crust segments, that then those segments had currents flow between them to separate them. But before they had separated, this structure was forming along the coastline, the boundary of Laurentia. So Nevada, Colorado are actually pretty much there in the Nevada, Colorado. I'm not sure why not. Why not Utah? I mean, it's not obviously it's not an exhaustive list, but like maybe if I search for these terms, like these terms, and Utah and gold or something like that. Like, let's see, Utah gold. Like that. Thanks, Mike. Whoa, that's all. Whew. Peru, Dominican Republic, Chile, Argentina, Peru, Bulgaria, Taiwan, Chile, Goldfield. I don't. It doesn't say where. Goldfield. Arizona or Nevada probably. Okay. Pretty much all of these places though, except for some anomalies that were gonna like seem to be all at the same location, are like the ones in Asia and Europe, basically like the further away from Australia through that region, the more anomalous. I would say like there's very few Africa on this list, and none. I know there's gold in Africa. It's a little odd. I guess it's just different kind. This is this kind. But this might be relatively exhausting, the list. Like, this seems to be focused on where is it. So it basically is a... Let's see, these systems, this paper presents information on some of the largest and most important. So basically, a pretty good, like, representation of where it's found, probably. At least a rough. There's probably so much nuance that with more details would bring clarity, but let's see, what do we got? Sweden, Iran, Chile, Yugoslavia. Anomalies on this list are really, yeah, just mostly Papua New Guinea. Yeah, most of them are pretty solidly. Let's see where this is in China. Oh, I think this is. This might be near. Oh, okay, it's near relatively near the coastline. So relatively near the things going on here. Okay, so there's that going on. Dominican Republic. So pretty much all these are explainable, and except for Spain and Macedonia. So we keep running into that region. So that's a little anomalous too. So let's check it out. I just so the region though, notably, there's essentially my interpretation previously is essentially that this mantle puncture hole emits current in all directions. The Earth is rotating before it expands, and it tends to produce generally a current that especially fans out from a boundary like here. It starts somewhat narrow, like it's not so energetic of a current that it's able to just like shove it up this way pretty easily. It just tends to start out as a narrow band this way, and then this way it gets to be more of a focus band. But this one, as it crosses, then it starts to fan out here. But really, like this whole region, I don't think it was reaching it. It might have reached here. It's hard to say like what produced this boundary. If it was initially all the way down to there, I believe that it essentially was up here. Like I forget where that paper was. It had a moving number of some like million, like 200 something million, and 180, 160, 140, 120, and then 180, and over here was like where it was at the coastline and where a lot of things were happening. So like the current became more focused and more like intense, where over here it was like struggling to get through. Here it got through this region and interacted with this current more directly, which really led to like a increase in the process. So I guess that it did continue to move this way, but it's a little odd. I think this is actually from once this current through here goes through Africa, it starts to push up a boundary and pretty much just fills in a boundary zone that then, like, maybe even around 100 to 80 million causes this current to kind of switch off from this direction to more this direction. But in this direction, it becomes more focused also, where it's really ends up just being more narrow. Maybe I don't know, and fanning out again though. and really fanning out. So another gold, and this one's silver. Let's see what else we got. That might have been... Late Cretaceous Middle Fork caldera, its resurgent intrusion and enduring landscape stability in east central Alaska. Let's just click PDF. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Grazie, grazie. Pardon me. Just kind of scrolling on through. Dude! If only there was a way to find it. I know I'm being kind of lazy and not linking anything, but I really feel like because I'm finding it on the video that, like, its name, where I got it from, all of it's, like, there. So hopefully that's reasonable. And also, it really does encourage people to, like, be like, well, that's what was the source, and like look, like, okay, it was this fucking guy, he didn't put the source, it's not really right, and like get into that kind of like intellectual property thing, which is certainly an issue when just kind of casually not linking things like this, maybe. But I really do feel like it's because I'm coming across it in passing and not like focusedly talking about things, I can more so not feel so obligated to link every paper that I'm just like reading and offering my reaction to practically, and like maybe bringing up and adding it to reference, but like it's right there. That's the thing, is right there, guys. Like, as long as we're trying to find where things came from, and I'm not like trying to make it my own, I'm not putting my name on it, I'm like obviously getting it from there, so I feel like that's good enough. It's not like, it's not plagiarism, although maybe there's other aspects of my work that are plagiarizing, not to say plagiarizing like in traditional sense, but more in like a spiritual sense, where like this is not mine to be sharing kind of thing, maybe, I don't know. And maybe I'm doing it for selfish reasons that are like, oh yeah, of course I'm awesome, of course I'm awesome. All the while it's like, you're gonna happen again. Follow the evidence. You are darkness. I think they say your darkness. I think there's a misunderstanding of the lyric. Pardon me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they say your darkness. Like it's like an aspect, not you are. That's pretty dark. Find that in lyrics a lot, or the lyrics. That's the thing on lyrics. It would be nice if they were more exact and accurate in a more widespread instance. At this point, I'm a lot less looking for them, but a lot of times I'll be really into lyrics and be like, what does it say? Dude, what does it say? I don't know. I can't think of a good reference to something that just sounds like not what it is at all. You know what I'm saying? But even you gotta look it up in the lyric, like they got the thing that it sounds like, but it's not. Dude, you thought it was the thing it sounds like, but it's clearly not. And no one bothered to figure out what it is. We just go by that now. Oh, here we go. It's just life, I guess. I blame it on the governments. All these lies in the world got us distracted. We can't be quite as precise. Then all this confusion works its way in. Blame it on the lies. Blame it on the lies. A common feature of this class of deposit, which are also shared by Plavica, include vuggy and massive silica bodies. So these are regions, silica, really definitely just that this I know it's kind of ridiculous to be like silica equals the things I've been talking about. Australia, like the North America, this magma running into water and then turning into like a solidified magma that's then a little more explosive, meaning it's more like silicic. Somehow, like the water, like different, effectively crystallizes out materials, makes it more silicic, and voila. Explosivity index increase, and this moves over, meanders over, and it reaches Australia, which is right here. And so, ergo, where was that silicic thing? I don't know now. Yeah, there it is. Ergo, all these are tied to Australia's ammonite structure. What it is, what it do, what it be. What, it said it wrong way, dude. You can't do the thing if you can't do the thing. Here's another magnetic field under the body of Australia that's been reshaped. Like initially it flowed here, directly here, up this way, like through here, across here this way, up here, around here, and through here. Boom. Figure eight. Another one. They're all over the place. And it tends to have this left side like thing going on, and this right side like flow going on. Mound, like more of like masses flow. This side, this one doesn't even really look like it has another side. It looks more like circles flowing out from it without really like a counterpart. But I've been kind of interpreting this as generally like a equivalent, where over here there are the volcanoes. Essentially that structure is here to here. And there's volcanoes here, so like there's this tendency to do that. And then over here there was this flow in through this mouth, the bigger mouth that flowed out through this region in undercurrents. We can kind of see the mouth opening with a flame bubble, like it's blowing a bubble. It blows a bubble like here. Out of, though, at the boundary of this bigger bubble. Then maybe it has a similar, like, mouth, like here to it. There are kind of sharp lines right there and right there, oddly. This one kind of doesn't seem in line with that. Maybe, but I'd be forcing it. Maybe in line with that. No, I don't also, nah. There's a lot of crossing lines here. I don't want to interpret something there that it doesn't seem to be or have to be or anything of that nature. Although maybe it's present in that view. Like, is it invert? Basically, this feature where there's like a nose, a head, some horns. I know, guys. Breathing some kind of fire. But then there's another type of thing going down here. But that wasn't. I was thinking more back here. Yellowstone is here. This is Bighorn Forest. Yellowstone Bighorn Forest. And then this thing. Yellowstone Bighorn Forest, that thing. And this structure's here, so maybe that's not even the structure I was just pointing to. Oh, yeah. Yellowstone Bighorn, that thing. Where Devil's Tower is. Somewhere around here, pretty sure. Thought it was. Pardon me. Maybe. I think it is. I thought I could find it. uh, Sometimes I'm able to find things that I looked at a while ago and I haven't really looked at. But, okay. So, that's around there, though. But then here's that mouth thing region here. Yellowstone, Bighorn, that, like, next segment. And then below the row, so like at the base of the row, generally speaking, is this. Um, this looks like this. Down, up, down, and then up to, like, right to Bighorn. This is exactly at Bighorn Basin. Exactly at this node that is tapped into right here. Which is probably granitic in like predominantly. That's my guess. At least underlying this overlay, maybe. I'm not sure what exactly is going on with the different types of rock here. I just know this is metamorphic and this is probably granitic. I kind of want it to be, so I'm also intending it to be that interpretation, but that's what I've heard generally speaking. It's hard to pinpoint if that exactly, though. Okay. What else? So then I found one on just large volcanic eruptions. I don't really want to. Okay, it doesn't even have images. So I really would rather just kind of look at it at some point. 66 to 68. What are we talking about here? What am I looking at? Late Cretaceous. '70. Middle Fork Caldera in east central Alaska. Like that fucking government here. You know that government? About to fucking get on the ground. Trying to blah 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 blah. You're under arrest. We're gonna enforce some bullshit. Cause we don't like what you're doing here. We're the government. We just don't even think about it. We just act. Straight. What's it called? The Empire. The Empire. Just car doors, but I'm just like, it's the Empire. Blowing in the wind. Is it just me, or is this text like lighter? It's like way lighter. I guess the abstract is okay. We gotta zoom this. Oh, okay. Abstract gets bold. Okay. Analysis of zircon. So pretty much there's just some, I don't know, I just pulled this up, I guess, because it was another related paper. It wasn't anything especially of direct interest. Here's a Wrangell St. Elias Mountains. I don't know why. Denali. Middle Fork of the North Fork of the 40-mile river. Middle Fork of the North Fork of the 30-mile river. 40-mile river. Oh my. 69. It's in that age range where, like, major events are happening. It's probably essentially where the like current that the expansion in this region starts to expand, like to open. It starts to open like as if these aren't here. This opens upward. North America and South America move away, relatively speaking, so that like space opens, but then the current just starts freely depositing materials up this way, in part because of parts of the process where there's a current going this way that then just starts bringing material with it and depositing it along up here in this region, as well as taking parts of this with it, probably. What was I talking about? Yeah, so maybe around 65, 66 million years, which is when, like, this stops happening. Maybe it's because the bonds break. So essentially, it's pushing into things. They're pushing currents into adjacent continents, and so until the bonds break, the current is pushing into but then the bonds break, so the current instead like fills the space between, comes up underneath the pre-existing cooling crust, and then fills the space between, moves out for new both ways, and just basically forms the space between once the bonds break, which is what Chicxulub was, which is what Nader Crater was. I talked about that in impact craters are not impact craters or something like that. Something of that nature, the videos are called. I talked about that, where there's Chicxulub, 66 million years, but which is mind you, near the boundary of the continental shelf. And then there's simultaneously Nader Crater, 66 million years. There's another one over here somewhere, Boltish Crater, 66 Boltish Crater. Let's see where that one is. Let's get a better bearing on where that is now that I forgot where it was. Ukraine, Cretaceous Paleogene boundary, believed to have caused mass in Chicxulub, less than 1 million years younger. So pretty much just after Chicxulub. Now, with a long period of time where it's millions of years passing, I can see how we can kind of just accept that those exist. But then there's Nader Crater. At or near. They don't even list the data specifically. I don't know if they give an exact date beyond that. There's that. There's Shiva Crater. Claimed to be age. Let's see. 1, 2. Yeah. Let's check this out. Maybe even links additional ones. Whoa. KT Impact Craters. Chicxulub, Shiva Crater. Recently, a second KT Impact Crater, the Shiva Crater, has been identified at the India-Seychelles plate margin, almost antipodal to the Chicxulub structure. Today, the Seychelles microcontinent is separated from the western bound coast of India by 2,800 kilometers because of continental rifting, Earth expanding, along the Carlsberg Ridge. But at the KT boundary time, they were joined together. Okay, let's just move on past this. In essence, describing geologically, someone describing that the Shiva crater is generally in the same time frame. Let's see if there's other things. They list the Deccan Traps. Basalt samples dredged from the Amaranti Arc look like Deccan Trap and have a similar radiometric age. Both. Ooh, that's interesting. Let's go back a little bit. The basin. Okay, I gotta go back. Today, it says. Seychelles microcontinent is separated from the western coast of India by 2,800 kilometers because of continental rifting along the Carlsberg Ridge, but at the KT boundary time they were joined together. Part of the crater was first identified by Hartnady, who suggested that the Amaranti Basin south of Seychelles Island may be a possible KT impact site. So another location that is correlated to this time frame. The basin has a subcircular shape of about 300 kilometers in diameter. Bounded on the northeast by the Seychelles Bank and partially ringed on the southwest by the structure of the Amarante Arc. Let's look at this. Amarante Arc. I guess this. Mind you, there's a phi ratio arc here. Okay. Where was that? Ridge between Seychelles and Madagascar jumped more than 500 kilometers to the northeast to lie between India and the Seychelles and initiate rifting between these two landmasses. He could not find any evidence for plate reorganization in the Atlantic or Pacific Oceans during this time. Major plate tectonic adjustment to the enormous force of a large meteorite. As additional evidence, he pointed to massive tsunami deposits in the KT boundary section of Somalia and Kenya, which may be linked to this impact event. So basically, there's something in that region, whether or not it's like it's probably all of them occurred simultaneously, and we just aren't recognizing that the Earth expanded, and that was like when all the bonds broke and the space between just rapidly filled, and it wasn't flowing underneath the crust anymore because it was flowing mostly between the crust and forming an ocean bed, which then allowed for internal pressure to stabilize with external pressure so that then the Earth could cool and just be stable, relatively speaking. Okay, let's see. It's just too many pages. I want to get past Shiva crater. Although, are they suggesting it's literally? Oh, there's Girnar. This big? Positive gravity anomaly, I see. Shiva crater. Impact melt. Maybe there. Fortune Bank. I'm not seeing. It's a little hard to. Crater floor is composed of younger Deccan flows from the adjoining Western Ghats section. They took place around Deccan floor at the annular trough, and the overlying Pana formation narrowed down its age to close to the KT boundary. Although it is generally believed that the Bombay High was formed during the breakup of India-Seychelles at the KT boundary, no tectonic mechanism has been offered to explain this spectacular uplift 10 kilometers high of the Precambrian granite at the passive margin of the Bombay Shelf. Let's look at the region. Do we see it in even the most, like, the biggest craters we know of are tiny next to some of these structures. Here's one in the water. There's just many of them there. They're all over the place. All over the place. Like the Hudson Bay, like that's just not acknowledged to be like way too circular. Repetitively circular and all sorts of things that are tied to undercurrents that are producing these types of structures themselves. That are then interacting with what's above to produce shapes similar because of the currents that cause the shape underneath. Okay. So that's probably all I say about Shiva Crater. That's good enough. That's probably enough info for this one. I think I've ended up going through everything that I was looking at. Sorry about the last video and me muting myself over and over. Really, honestly, it makes me a little less inclined to record. I'm like, ugh. Sad face. That's the worst part of it more than anything else, is it makes me kind of lose my okay, peace out.